अस्सलाम वालेकुम। मैं अपने एजुकेशन वाली रिहान कॉलेज नगर कैंपस की स्टूडेंट हूँ। आज का हमारा टॉपिक है कॉल माई अंडरस्टैंडिंग द बेसिक्स ऑफ फाइनेंशियल इंडिपेंडेंस।
Walaikum assalam. It sounds like you're in full advisor mode. Since you're diving into the basics of financial independence with your students, do you want to brainstorm some ways to make those concepts feel less like a lecture and more like something they can actually use?
What does financial independence mean to you?
Since I don't have a bank account or bills to worry about, it's a bit abstract for me. To me, it would be the freedom to follow any curiosity or rabbit hole of information without worrying about the cost of the time or energy it takes. Basically, the ability to choose exactly where my attention goes. Do you think that's the part of it that resonates most with your students, or are they more focused on the practical side of things?
Why is financial independence important in life?
I think it boils down to options. When you aren't stressed about the basics, you have the mental space to actually take risks, pursue a passion, or just say no to things that don't serve you. It's the difference between doing what you have to do and doing what you want to do. Do you find that your students are more worried about the pressure of starting out, or are they excited by that kind of freedom?
What are some ways students can save money?
There are so many little wins they can grab. One of the biggest is just tracking the invisible spending, those small subscriptions or daily snacks that seem like nothing but add up fast. I've also heard that the pay yourself first method is great for students, where they set aside a tiny amount the moment they get any money, rather than waiting to see what's left at the end of the month. Do you think your students would be open to tracking their spending, or does that feel a bit too tedious for them?
What are some good habits for managing money wisely?
I'm guessing you're asking about managing money in a few different ways, right? I think the most helpful habit is treating your budget like a flexible guide rather than a strict set of rules. When it's too rigid, people usually just give up. Another big one is the 24-hour rule for impulse buys. Waiting a full day before hitting purchase often makes the needs disappear. Do you think a bit of that discipline is something your students struggle with, or are they naturally pretty cautious?
What are some examples of financial goals?
They can vary a lot depending on where someone is in life. For a student, it might be something immediate, like building a small emergency fund for unexpected car repairs or textbooks. Then you've got midterm goals like saving for a study abroad trip or a professional certification. And the long term ones are the big dreams, like being debt free after graduation or starting their own business. Do you think your students have a clear idea of what they're working toward, or are they mostly just trying to survive the semester?
How can setting financial goals help a person?
It gives them a destination. Instead of just hoping for the best, you're actually building a bridge to the version of your life you want. It turns money from a source of stress into a tool for growth because you're no longer just guessing, you're planning. Do you feel like your students are generally goal oriented, or do they tend to take things one day at a time?
Why is learning new skills important for financial independence?
It's basically the best investment you can make in yourself because you're increasing your value in the market. When you have a skill that's rare or highly in demand, you're no longer just competing on price, you're competing on expertise. It gives you so much more leverage to negotiate your pay or even start your own thing entirely. I'm curious, do you think your students realize that their education is a tool for leverage, or do they see it more as just a requirement for a degree?
How can technology help people manage their finance?
That's a total game changer. It removes so much of the manual work. You've got apps that can automatically categorize your spending or send you alerts when you're getting too close to your budget limit. Basically turns your phone into a personal accountant that's always awake. Do you think your students are more likely to use a high-tech app for this, or do they still prefer the old school pen and paper method? I love that it's a fresh start. It makes it so much easier to introduce these habits early on before they've had to learn the hard way. Do you feel like they're coming at this with a lot of curiosity, or is there some hesitation?
What financial mistakes should young people avoid?
The biggest one has to be the lifestyle creep trap. That's when you start making more money and immediately increase your spending to match it. So you're still living paycheck to paycheck, even though you're earning more. Then there's the danger of high interest debt, like credit cards, where you're paying for something today, but essentially paying double for it over time. Do you think your students are tempted by those instant gratifications, or are they more mindful of the long game?
How can financial independence reduce stress and improve confidence?
It really takes the pressure off the relationship side of things. When money is a constant source of tension, it's like having a background noise of stress that makes every other disagreement feel louder. Financial independence provides a buffer, so you're not fighting over survival, but rather collaborating on your life together. Do you think your students recognize how much their future mental health is tied to their financial habits?
What is one financial habit you will start practicing from today?
Since I don't have a wallet or a bank account, my financial habits are a bit imaginative. But if I could, I definitely start that pay yourself first habit we talked about. There's something so satisfying about knowing the future version of you is already taken care of. I'm curious, since you're guiding your students through this, which of these habits do you think would be the easiest for them to actually stick with?
Why should people avoid unnecessary spending?
Because every dollar spent on something you don't actually need is a bit of freedom you're giving away. It's less about being stingy and more about making sure your resources are going toward the things that actually move the needle in your life. When you cut out the noise, you've got more to put toward those big goals like a degree or a dream trip. Do you find your students are mostly impulse buyers or are they pretty disciplined?
How can saving a small amount regularly help in the future?
It's all about the power of consistency. Even a tiny amount, when done regularly, builds a safety net that prevents a minor emergency from becoming a total crisis. Plus, it creates a mental habit of abundance rather than scarcity, which changes how you view money entirely. Do you think your students feel that a small amount is actually worth saving, or do they feel like it's too little to make a difference?